out of screen here. There you go. That's perfect. Okay, we're good. Oh no, that's too much. Good. All right, yes, we're good. All right. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste.
Welcome to Lotus Flower Wellness Temple. I'm so glad that everyone is joining us, whether you're in temple or at home. We welcome you, and we're so, so glad that you are here. All right, so today we're exploring something every human experiences, but very few ever answer or question about: the stories that we tell ourselves. So every one of us has a story about who we are, about what we're capable of, about what we deserve, and what life even means, right? Everyone can contest to that. So these stories were how they've all shaped our experiences, our families, and our successes, our disappointments, as well as even our deepest wounds. But here's the beautiful truth. The story that brought you here does not have to be the story that carries you forward. Healing is not about becoming something new. Healing is remembering who you are before fear wrote parts of your story for you. So let's begin by bringing ourselves fully into this sacred space together. So just take a nice deep breath. Welcome. I see many people online there. We're on a few different streams. So welcome, and welcome. All right, and just before we get started, if y'all haven't subscribed yet, like, share, comment, share out the live stream, send some hearts there, get the algorithm kicking to get some more people on. We're going to be sharing some beautiful truths with you all today. So we're going to go ahead and get into our ohms for today.
Yeah, okay, so today we're doing 3 ohms, which is Om, 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 Shanti, 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 Om. So if you want to join with us at home, you can. We're going to continue that just a couple more times.
Yes, that was fun though, and it was funny.
Mm-hmm. All right, one more time. Om. Om. to our teaching for today. Erin, if you'll start us off.
Yes, absolutely. So think about a movie. Every movie has a character, a conflict, challenges, victories, and what? Transformation. So your life is no different. The interesting part is that most people don't realize that they've become trapped inside a script that they never consciously actually wrote. Maybe somewhere in childhood you maybe experienced some rejection, but without realizing it, the mind created a story. I'm not lovable. Instead of seeing it clearly, your mind used its experience as evidence to support that old story. So soon, every disappointment becomes proof of what? That storyline, that you're not good enough. So, but not because it's true, because the mind wants consistency more than it wants truth. The ego loves predictable stories, even painful ones, because predictable feels safe. So healing begins when you realize I don't have to believe every single chapter just because I lived through it. The chapter happened, and it doesn't define the ending, though. Think about every challenge you've ever survived. Think about those. At the time, it probably felt a little impossible. Yet here you are. Every hardship taught you something. Every single time that it felt impossible and you kept trying, that you grew and you learned something. Every loss revealed something new to you. Every ending created space for something brand new for you. So what if your greatest pain wasn't really punishment? What if it was preparation? The soul doesn't waste experience, y'all. It transforms them. Pain becomes compassion. Failure becomes wisdom. Loss becomes appreciation. Fear becomes courage. And only if we're willing to learn instead of becoming trapped inside the story is when we can perceive this. So just ask yourselves, what story am I repeating? Am I always getting hurt? Am I never enough? Am I too much? I'll never succeed. Is that one of your taglines? Who wrote that? And more importantly, do I still want to live inside of that? Of those thoughts, of that storyline? Who wrote that, right? Are you still wanting to live by that? So, because the beautiful thing about your consciousness is awareness edits stories. The moment you become aware of your script, you are no longer trapped in it. Today, I want to invite you all to become the author again. Not rewriting your past, rewriting the meaning you gave to it. That's freedom.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, once we begin questioning our stories, something remarkable happens. Space appears. Before healing, someone says something. We react. Life changes. We react. Fear appears. We react. Reaction comes from programming. Response comes from presence. Imagine driving a car. Reaction is driving while only looking in the rearview mirror. Response is seeing the road ahead clearly. Most people live from memory instead of awareness. Every conversation becomes connected to an old wound. Every disagreement becomes connected to an old disappointment. But presence asks a different question. What is actually happening right now? Not yesterday, not 5 years ago, right now. Presence gives us choice. Choice creates freedom. And freedom creates peace. When you respond instead of react, you become the calm in your own storm. And people around you begin feeling that calm too. That's how healing spreads. One regulated nervous system influences another. Peace is contagious. So today, choose response. Choose curiosity over assumption. Choose understanding over defense. Choose love over fear. Every moment offers that choice. And also I want to say that there's something in these stories that we create, especially when it's the first time we create that story. The first story we create about that. The first time we felt love. You know, they always say the first cut is the deepest. The first time we lose it. The first time, you know, we're hurt by somebody in a relationship. We can create stories from that, oh, I'll never trust again. Oh, I'll never, you know, we can start to expect that from future relationships. Start to think, oh, yeah, no, this is the same thing happening again. Even just from fleeting small signs. Like we start to think that we have an algorithm for life. We have it all mapped out. We have the idea of what patterns in people mean. You know, what signs people are giving represent, and what they're thinking based on how they're acting, because it reflects something we've experienced before. But that's not always true. People act in different ways for different reasons. They don't always act the same for the same reason. Sometimes one person may act, one person may laugh as a trauma response, you know, rather than getting angry or upset. Maybe they laugh as a trauma response. Somebody else may laugh just in awkward situations. They're both laughing. It's,
Yeah, good point.
you know, but they're laughing for different reasons. So it's important to be able to be present and to try to understand people where they are, not to understand them from the perspective of past experiences with people that aren't them.
Correct. Yes, that's a very good point. Thank you so much.
So, with that, let's go ahead and get into our guided breath work for today. We practice something here called the infinity breath. So, and that takes the form of a figure 8. We start with that lower loop, breathing out all that stale, negative, collected energy that has gathered and is just stuck and blocking that energy flow inside of us. We just breathe that all out. Then we hold in our center. And then we breathe in all that bright, beautiful creator light as that upper loop. And then we hold once more. And then we breathe out, this time circulating that energy through us. Then we hold again. And we just repeat that cycle.
Just circulating the energy throughout.
Whatever speed is comfortable to you. And as we inhale and exhale, with each inhale, imagine breathing in this golden light. And with each exhale, imagine pages from an old book gently floating away. Old labels, old fears, old identities. No struggle, just release. And then just continue this for several rounds of breath. Golden light in, old identities out, golden light in, old ideas and thoughts, feelings, washing away. Just allow yourself to be open to new ideas, new thoughts, new feelings. Nothing concrete, nothing like a rule that stays firm in your life. But something more flexible, something open to change and growth. Let yourself become open to changing your opinions, to changing your ideas as the situation develops. Open yourself to the idea that the past experiences can be wrong. Particularly in regards to something new. You can still be careful. You can still keep your guard up a bit if something seems suspicious. But just allow your reasoning to be flexible. Allow your thoughts to be changeable. Allow your feelings to be malleable. Adapt. Don't tie yourself to the script of what happened before. All right, I'll hand this over to Erin.
You can just continue to focus on your breathing. Just imagine yourself walking through a beautiful ancient library. through this beautiful ancient library, and every book represents a chapter of your very life. Some chapters are joyful, some are painful. Just walk to a table where one book is waiting for you. You can see it in the back, and you slowly take steps towards it, getting closer and closer to this book that is awaiting you. And as you open the book, you realize that all the pages from the past have things written on them. Yet, the present is blank and the future is blank. And you realize in that moment that you can choose to move forward with whatever storyline that you choose to create, the way that you see things in your life, for your highest good and your highest timeline. So take a moment to realize and let go of any of the storylines that you have been holding on to in the past, and try to see it from that higher perspective. What did you learn from it? What wisdom do you have moving forward? And just continue to focus on that question within yourself. Alright, yes, absolutely. Just continue to focus on that question for yourself. What would you like to release from your storyline that is not serving you? What would you like to let go of and replace with a more empowering storyline, something that supports you and your truth? For today, we're going to do things a little bit different. So, not only is this question going to be part of this meditation, but it's also going to be part of your homework for this week, because it is very big to see those storylines, to be even aware that you're the architect of them. You're the one that carries this forward and continues to retell the story and carry it forward into your life by identifying to it. So by becoming aware that you're doing that and realizing that the truth is that in the now it is a blank slate, it is a blank moment, a moment to create. And then we don't necessarily have to drag that storyline in with us. So that is something powerful that each and every one of you can do this week, is start to become aware of this storyline that you keep carrying forward. And see the parts that you can see might be your actual limitations. And this week, let's become more aware of a new storyline that we would like to replace. So every time that storyline comes up for you, starts creeping, just remind yourself, that is my past. That was a past storyline, and I am choosing to create one of my choosing now. So moving forward. And so today's temple service is going to be a little different of how we're going to operate. So now we're just going to move right into our podcast for today. And we're just going to make it quite simple again today. So normally we have a little bit more involved, but this is such big work that we're focusing on right now. If you can get a real grasp of that storyline that you're telling yourself and really see, you know what, this is experiences that I've had. This is not who I am, right?
Right.
You can begin to replace it with a choice, something that is more empowered and supportive of where you're going. And that is some work that you can start to begin to do.
And even more than that, like, it's important to understand and recognize the power that a story that you tell yourself can have over you. You can be so certain that things will go a certain way, that you are a failure, that you are never going to succeed at this one thing, that, there's too many obstacles, that there's, that everything in your life is going wrong. And in doing so, you build that story. You create that story. You manifest that story. Because it's something that becomes not just mentally true to you, but emotionally true to you. You believe it with your heart, and you believe it with your actions. That is what manifestation is. When you can believe something in thoughts, in your heart, and in your actions, that is when you begin to manifest it. So if you can tell yourself a different story, if you can tell yourself that, what has been, for me in the past, perhaps, maybe echoes of that, maybe echoes of that manifestation that I created from that story that I told myself. But from now on, I'm going to tell myself a different story. And it may not manifest right away. Maybe I'll still feel aftershocks of that old story for a while. But with time, with effort, with will, I will this story into existence. I will believe in my own emotional faculty that I am capable of these things, that I am reaching these goals. And if I don't have goals, that I am figuring out what it is that I want to do. I'm figuring out where it is I want to go. That the road is revealing itself to me.
Yeah.
If you can start to believe that, you can start to create a brighter future for yourself. You can start to break past those old beliefs and those old ideas, and you can start to see the world in a new way. The other day I was watching a video. It's a therapist reacting to a video game from a while back called Night in the Woods. And he was talking about how our perception of things, our criticisms, they can form our reality, but really what those criticisms are, they reflect a deeper wish. If you pay attention to what you criticize, you can see beneath that a deeper wish that you have within yourself. If you believe that your parents are negligent, that reflects a deeper wish that they would pay more attention to you, that you would be seen and recognized, and that you would be honored in that way by family, by people who are close to you. And you can find family if your family really doesn't have that kind of attention span, who will give you that. So you can set your intention to find people who give you what your negligent parents don't.
That's a good point, Right.
Yeah, and if you feel that, maybe it's your environment. You feel that, whether it's politics or it's, you know, regional rules and regulations, that your city is not supporting you in the way that you want to be supported. You can seek out ways to find that support, whether it be through certain groups. If you look around you, you can sometimes find that there are support groups out there.
Yeah.
There are networks. There are, people you can talk to. Or even if it comes to it, just getting out of that place, getting to somewhere else, and experiencing what it's like there. And, or even just learning about how to work within that infrastructure.
Yeah.
Learning how to make things happen. There's always roads for you to take. There's always doors. There's always a way into a different situation, into a different way of being. And, every situation that you encounter, I think a good way of thinking of it is like TV shows. A lot of times you see the same tropes are repeated, the same kinds of stories, but they never happen exactly the same way, and it's the same way in life. A lot of times we'll encounter similar themes because those themes are what our souls or what the universe has deemed that, based on our intentions, based on our projections, based on our affirmations and our manifestations, what we need in that moment.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it comes across as similar, but two situations that happen separately are practically never the same. They may have similar elements, they may have similar qualities, but we already went through the first situation. It doesn't do us any good for that situation to be rehashed exactly the same way. If that were a television show, that wouldn't be good writing. That's one way I like to look at it. It wouldn't be good writing to just repeat the same character arc over again.
Yeah.
So while it may have similar themes and may involve similar individuals, it's different each time. So you need to be able to take time to observe those differences.
Yeah.
How have you changed? That's a primary thing. And what about the situation is different now? Whether because of how you've changed or because of how things around you have changed.
Yes. Yeah, those are really good thought points for certain. So I really hope that everyone takes this week very seriously to just allow your support team to show you in signs and synchronicities, different things that come up in your experiences this week, to show you where your storyline is coming up and where you're implementing that and using it and continuing to just be tethered back to the past, right? Every time you tell the storyline, you're like, okay, here I am back this way. But creating that new one is all about that, being present and moving forward and making choices to align your thoughts in such a way so that you are continually manifesting and pulling those things.
Right. And I think a good way to think about it, especially in this world where we're all watching all kinds of entertainment, we're involved with all kinds of, shows and distractions and what have you. is to think of it like the storyline to a story or to a TV show, or, you know, think, what is my story about? You know, what is it supposed to be about? And how does the situation I'm in now serve that story? How, you know, think of it as a hero's journey, you know, that ultimately you come out in the end successful. You come out in the end with all the tools you need. You grow through these experiences to become the hero. So how do you become that hero? You know, how is this situation that you find yourself in serving you in becoming that hero?
That's actually a fun little part of our homework. Then I think you know how when you're watching like a Netflix or something like that, and it's got that little description of the show beforehand to see if you want to watch it. And so maybe you'll read over that, and it's just like 3 or 4 sentences, maybe, you know, sometimes even less, about what the movie or the show is about. So I challenge you to write one of those for your story of your life. Just like if we were scrolling on Netflix and we're like, huh, okay, the so-and-so story, this is about da. All right, I think that sounds kind of interesting. I'll watch it. So let's see what you come up with. And so, you know, and it may take you a little bit, but first part of the week is going to be about discerning and just really being honest with yourself. I'm sure your friends and family know what storyline we're talking about, right? So be aware, you know, a lot of people have heard it from you over and over, and so maybe it might be to take a minute for you to think about it, but a lot of people around you is probably like, oh, I know. I've heard it before, and I've seen the cycle, but sometimes it's hard for us to see our own cycle because we're so busy looking out and you know, that blame game and this, that, and the other. But it is time to take our power back, and part of that is taking responsibility and being honest with ourselves and seeing ourselves and getting to know ourselves. So that is part of that work.
Yeah, and that actually reminds me of something a friend of mine went through recently. He's very affected emotionally by things, and he recently got into a relationship which ended poorly. And you know, the girl broke up with him, and he said that like she was very cold and very cruel when she did it, and you know, he just it made him think of like all those you know, red pill guy videos they'd seen and all that sort of stuff, that they're right about that. You know, I think that, you know, those people, they run into certain types of relationships over and over again. And they're relationships that reflect their own biases. It's not that, you know, they're right about all relationships being that way. It's that they're right about the relationships they attract being that way.
Yeah.
So, you know, based on the stories that you believe, that reflects the relationships that you attract.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, this friend of mine even was like, I don't think I can ever trust women again, you know, I don't think I can ever trust again after this. And, you know, whether he can or cannot, that is ultimately up to him. You know, it's up to the story he decides to tell himself. He can tell himself that, oh, nobody is trustworthy. I have seen what humanity is like in this one person, and it reflects on everybody else. Or he can say, this was a singular experience. It was with a singular person who is unlike anyone else. And I can't take my experience with this person and apply it to everyone else who is out there.
Right, all across the board, that would just be so unfair. But many times people do that.
Right. So, you can think of in your own experience, is there something that you have experienced that's caused you to view people in a certain way? Even certain kinds of people. Maybe they have a certain mannerism. Or maybe it's people who wear glasses. Maybe it's people who are in positions of authority.
I've got to go on people that have more money than you do.
People who have more money than you do. Look at how those identities you formed, like this idea about people who are like that.
Exactly.
And see if you can't challenge that idea for yourself in your story.
Yeah, absolutely. One big blocker of abundance and manifestation is the storyline of that storyline that you're telling yourself. Those rich people, or this, that, and the other, and like identifying outside of the flow of money, right? So that's just one example of how that storyline can be literally blocking you from things. So if you think of, just explain a little bit more, if you think of money as something that it's an energy, right? There's an energy behind it. And so, of course, if you're cussing everyone that has figured out how to draw some to them and saying, oh, those people, da da da, of course you're saying you're separate from that. So therefore, just be wise and mindful of how that affects what you're drawing in to yourself. Okay. All right. Yes. So, so we have a lot to think about this week, huh?
Yeah.
Yes. And as you do start to put your focus and your attention on that storyline, you're going to start to see a little bit more of how it's actually affecting you in many ways of your life. And then remember, right up your little, what do you call that? Trailer, almost. It's like right up your little trailer of your life. And let's see what storyline. Now do one before, and then let's start rearranging it and rewriting that story, and then let's see how powerful we can make that second one. And I guarantee you that there's one that you would prefer to live versus the other.
Yeah. Find a story that you can tell yourself that has a happy ending, that has a good ending. Even if you're in the most miserable position of your life right now, set yourself on a better trajectory. Make it so that the position you're in right now supports you.
Yes.
That it builds you up towards whatever it is you're going to achieve. That it's one of the down and out moments of the protagonist, but it's not the end of their story.
Yes.
And it's not where they're going. It is what builds them up, and it is what motivates them, and it is what brings them to where they need to be. But it is not what defines them.
Perfect. Beautiful. Well, thank y'all so much for joining. Thank you for taking the time for yourself to stay tuned in and learn some more about how to free yourself from the regular old grind that most people are not happy with. So we teach here, we support and teach different tools and methodologies that you can use within your life to get back to your authentic true self and start shining your authentic light and enjoying this life, right? Who doesn't want to enjoy life? So yeah, keep tuning in. If you haven't hit the like, share, subscribe, all that, please do so. And drop us a line and let us know where you're viewing from as well. If everybody will drop us a line and tell us where you're visiting from. We'll just send out some love specifically to you there, and just come on back and see us next week, and always follow throughout the week and see what we're doing as well. We're on social media quite a bit because we believe we're all about harmony for humanity and making the resources available to the whole world. So, all right, y'all, have a great week. I will see you next time.
See you next time.
All righty.
Namaste.
Namaste. All right, we'll turn off one by one
Okay.
so we can check the things. Okay, Savannah's watching. Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining. All right, so that one, let's see what we have there. Okay, I'm not sure how many people we had. It didn't tell me on that one. I guess we'll see. All right, so let's see here. Okay. And how many people?